Boys, I had to Google a word before this episode. Last episode, episode 5, I said the word squandered, I think like 6 times. And it really bothered me, so I had to Google it. I can confirm now after Googling it, I did use it correctly every time, so there's that.
Heck yeah.
But I was looking at some Vegas odds before we started the episode here, and they got the over-under on me saying that word set at 4.5 right now. We're into insider trading around here, so I'm gonna tell you guys right now, hammer the under on that one. I'm gonna try to avoid saying that today. We got a jam-packed episode, plenty to talk about. Oregon and Washington put on exactly the game we wanted to see this weekend. A lot of
beautiful game.
A lot of big losses in the NFL this weekend, but we'll get to that. Top half of the hour, we talk college football, and we got a phenomenal game to start the episode. The Rivalry, which is the dumbest nickname for a rivalry ever. Sorry. 115 games played, and I just disrespected it right there. I am sorry. But
hey, call it spade a spade. It's a rivalry.
Gave us exactly the game we asked for. If I were... You guys know the final score if you watch the game. If I were to tell you the following. Oregon outgained Washington by 126 yards. Washington rushed for under 100 yards. Oregon controlled time of possession by 10 minutes. First downs gained by 8. Third down percentage 62% to 45%. And ran 20 more total plays on the game at that efficiency clip. And Oregon won the turnover battle by +1. And Bo Nix played exactly the game you expected out of Bo Nix. Who do you think won the game?
Washington.
Because I got a hint for you. It's not Oregon.
I personally think it was Oregon, but
because it's not Oregon.
Yeah, that's
Washington. Washington won this game in it's just a beautiful football game. There was no real mess to it. There was nothing sloppy. You could say there was no defense, which realistically there wasn't a lot, but there were key fourth down stops in moments where fourth down stops were needed. You can't, in a shootout game, you can't ask for much more than that. Just a beautiful, beautiful game. Michael Penix Jr. took his second straight over Bo Nix. A lot of emotions after this game. Took it 36-33. What were some thoughts? Some thoughts on this game?
I'm excited to see the second one.
If we see the second one, that Pac-12 race right now.
I personally thought that Oregon looked all around better throughout a good majority of this game on both sides of the ball, except for, obviously giving up 36 points. Not something you want to do to Michael Penix Jr. as a Heisman hopeful, but I did. I thought Bo Nix put on a better performance. I thought the offense looked better through Bo Nix, and they just couldn't make it out of it. They kept making the play to get up, and then they would get up for the series, and then next thing you know, Michael Penix Jr. drives the ball down the field and Washington scores. It was a good back and forth game, very exciting. I loved watching the back and forth. It was awesome.
Yeah, it definitely came down. It was definitely the game that we wanted. I mean, it came down to a last-second field goal that should have tied the game, but kicker just missed a little bit. And, obviously that's a huge pressure situation. I couldn't imagine being that kicker. So, I mean,
no.
Obviously, I wish he would have kicked it and made it, and we would have seen some overtime. But I think Oregon should have won that game.
I kept trying to find where the difference was in this game with Oregon performing how they did. I personally think on paper and to my eyes, I think Oregon performed as slightly the better team in this game at times. So I kept trying to find where that separation is, and there really isn't any. Obviously, Oregon won the turnover battle, so there's not separation there for Washington. Explosive plays. We saw 22 explosive plays in this game, including 4 30-plus yard touchdowns. I mean, that's just absurd. Split right down the middle. They both had 11 explosive plays on the game.
That's crazy.
Beyond that, I just couldn't find anything. Oregon only had 1 sack. Washington only had 1 sack. Pressures, same percentage. So really, you could say it comes down to late in the game, Dan Lanning goes for it on 4th and 1, trying to put the game away instead of just punting it away with the lead. You could put it down to that, but your defense still has to prevent a 38-yard touchdown. I mean, you can't give that up. So, I mean, yeah, you could put it on Dan Lanning there at the end. Dan Lanning put it on himself there at the end. which is what a head coach is going to do in a game like that. But it's in a situation like that, like you could not have said before they went for it on 4th and 1, oh, I wouldn't do that. Why? Why not? It's 1 yard.
Yeah, I feel like in that situation, with how good that offense is playing, you're going for it on that 4th and 1 and icing the game. I think any logical coach in NFL, college football is going for it on that 4th and 1.
It's just a smart thing to do nowadays. Analytics say if it's anything shorter than 4th and 2, you should be going for it.
Especially when you got Bucky Irving in your backfield, like get a yard.
Give him the ball.
They didn't, but I mean, I don't see that as a bad coaching mistake. I don't think Dan Lanning really sees it that way either. Obviously, he's going to take that blame, but beautiful game. Just a beautiful game.
What a game.
It took Washington just 3 plays after that 4th and 1 to put this one away. But that was really the story of the game. To a degree, that was the story of the game. But Washington also had 3 8-minute drives in this game, which is just absurd. The fact that you can have 3 8-minute drives and Oregon can still win time of possession the way they did.
Yeah.
That means
that's bizarre.
That means you had a lot of very, very short drives as well. Because
that's the special teams played a huge role, like as far as like pinning Bo Nix and the Oregon Ducks deep all day. Like they did not have great field positions, except for when obviously they get their turnovers on downs and stuff like that. But like even then, it was bend don't break towards the end zone sometimes, and they'd get the ball back in just some really bad spots. And I think Bo Nix made the best of his opportunity. And I agree. There's a thing on here that says Michael Penix Jr. takes over first place of the Heisman odds, and that it should be. Before the game, they were talking about how this is a household name game. Mm-hmm. So this is where you become a guy who puts your name into the mouth of everybody in college football and anybody who's watching. So yeah, I mad respect, but
he didn't just take first place. His odds went to -160. That's a heavy favorite. Yeah. That is a heavy favorite.
Doing what he did against that Oregon defense, no quarterback has done that this year, and he kind of exposed him a little bit on some of those deep plays. He made Oregon secondary kind of look silly sometimes.
To a degree.
And he threw beautiful balls down the field. Oh my gosh, he's got a pretty deep ball.
Oregon going into this game was one of 2 teams in the country who were rated top 10 in offense and defense, overall offense and defense. And that defense did not look as good in this game. Can you guys guess who the other team is there? They're on our winners and losers here in a little bit. Talking about the Potato Bowl.
Talking about the Potato Bowl.
Miami is the other team. And
Miami
they got
sucks.
Embarrassed. We'll get to them, but
they got embarrassed.
Dude.
Beautiful game, and on top of how great it was on both sides of the ball, we only saw 10 penalties in this game, which is always nice to see. Both teams playing it clean, especially in a shootout game. It keeps the pace of the game going. In a game like a shootout, to see very limited penalties is always, to me as a football viewer, very nice.
Don't stop the game.
Yeah, limited penalties, limited turnovers. That was a fun game to watch.
So, take this game, give it 20 penalties. Last year, you're hearing that Whopper commercial 14 times in that game, and I don't need to hear that. Hopefully we get the rematch.
I like that commercial.
Hopefully we get the rematch, but this Pac-12 schedule right now is a gauntlet. Oregon, USC, Utah, UCLA, I believe all of those teams, and did I say Washington? Washington as well. All of those teams all play each other in the final 6 weeks of the season. Other than Oregon and Washington already playing.
Pac-12 football matchups.
Oh, they're going to be in our spotlight features every single week. Because oh my lord, really tight schedule.
Like he does,
so do we get this rematch? I don't know. I think Oregon and Washington are better than all the teams on that list, but Utah is still right up there. UCLA is an upset team. They're not going to be in that championship game at this point. I believe you got 2 Pac-12 losses now. Oregon State, don't sleep on Oregon. I'm sorry for not saying Oregon State there before. Yeah. Oregon State's 6-1 right now, undefeated in conference, I believe. Watch out for them as well. That Pac-12 is a gauntlet right now. There's been debates on whether or not they're better than the SEC, but that conference is a gauntlet. Let's talk winners and losers of the weekend. This is a team I didn't think I'd talk a whole lot this season until week 14, but Wolverines are rolling, man. Wolverines are rolling. Michigan is outscoring its Big Ten opponents, schedule aside. Get rid of their strength of schedule. Outscoring its Big Ten opponents 149 so far through 4 matchups. They're outscoring opponents 93-0 in the third quarter.
That's absurd.
Again, schedule aside, is the schedule strong? No, the schedule's not strong. It's weak. It's one of the weakest in the country. In fact, I think it might be the weakest in the country compared to their strength, compared to their schedule. It might be the weakest in the country. But Michigan's doing everything they're supposed to do with that schedule. They are dominating that schedule. You don't necessarily control who gets put on your schedule. You do for parts of it, but you don't necessarily control who gets put on your schedule. They're doing what they can do with the games they have to play. They are obliterating them. And we're going to see, does Michigan obliterate these games now and then go on to play teams like Penn State, like Ohio State? Do they pull in Oklahoma, and do they still dominate those games? Or are they that team that shies away under the lights? Who knows? Shout out, subscribe. Are they the team that shies away under the lights? I don't know. How are we feeling about the Wolverines?
I like Michigan. We talked a little bit about it last year on old podcasts, how much I liked Michigan. And this offense looks very good. They can pass the ball. They can run the ball. They can J.J. McCarthy can scramble and throw on the run. This defense is dominant. Every facet of the game, this Michigan team looks good. Coaching staff is coaching really well. And obviously at the beginning of the season, we were talking, is this Michigan team legit? Because, they weren't putting up the points and everything like that. And then they got Harbaugh back, and then they're coming in and they're cooking. If I'm in college football, if I'm in that on the top teams, I'm boxing this Michigan team and this game, and you have to plan ahead for this team. It's not something you can just look at and be like, oh, their strength schedule is not good. Like, you have to plan and like you have to perform and come out and play. You can't just show up and be like, we're going to beat this team because they haven't played nobody.
If you ask James Franklin what he thinks about the Michigan Wolverines schedule, he will tell you it's a snowflake schedule. And it honestly has been, but I completely agree with the utter domination that has been happening by this Michigan team. You see it week in, week out. They can run the ball. They can throw the football. They play really good defense on both on the front 7 and in the back 4. They're all around a really good team.
Yeah. Don't
be surprised when they pull up against an Ohio State or a Penn State, which those two teams are playing this week.
That's gonna be
fun. And should be able to compete with the best of the best in the Big Ten. That's what as Michigan does and has been doing at least the last 2-3 years. Prior to that, Harbaugh was still trying to figure out how to beat Ohio State. He's done that now. He's done it a couple times. And who's to say that this Michigan Wolverines team can't just keep running and just walk all the way into that Big Ten championship against probably Iowa, who, let's be honest, has no fighting chance in that game.
We'll get to them.
And then just run away with the conference. I'm not going to say they will run away with the conference because I think Ohio State, it will be a little bit more battle-tested going into that matchup against Michigan. But it should make for a fun rest of the season, especially with Michigan still having Penn State and Ohio State on their schedules.
Let me tell you something about James Franklin. James Franklin played the UMass Minutemen this weekend.
Yes, he did.
We got another loser, or we got a loser here. Caleb Williams, Heisman hopes. Maybe. 3 interceptions this week does not look good for Caleb Williams. The loss aside, Notre Dame made him look silly. 3 interceptions this weekend doesn't look good. His schedule doesn't look good. They see potentially 4 top 15 teams in their remaining 5 weeks. Another loss in that slate, which is not an easy slate. Utah's, I believe, this weekend. Another loss in that slate, you don't have a chance because they give it to winning quarterbacks. You could throw for 10,000 yards, 65 touchdowns, but if you go 0-14, like they ain't giving it to you.
If you throw for that,
I hope you're winning games.
that many touchdowns.
I hope you're winning games at that point.
Football games.
But either way, otherwise your defensive coordinator really needs to be reassessed. Either way, not Notre Dame. Caleb Williams Heisman hopes not looking good. Not looking good.
Yeah, I mean, you guys kind of predicted it. Obviously, I didn't because, I mean, you all know my feelings about Notre Dame. But you guys talked about it. I mean, Notre Dame, they're kind of due for one. They were on a slump, and Hardman wasn't looking too hot. And he came in this weekend, performed, and that Notre Dame defense actually showed up. USC's defense is non-existent still, and Caleb Williams' arm was also non-existent this week. I don't see that being a regular thing. I think they figure it out, and, you know, every team at some point has that one game where they kind of fall off and they fell off the cliff.
I think teams are learning to game plan very, very hard against Caleb Williams. We have to put pressure on him. We have to make sure he's uncomfortable. We cannot let him stand back in the pocket and deliver good balls. We have to make sure we're covering on the back end. And, of course, but I agree. I don't want to say that he's completely lost the shot at the award because he is Caleb Williams. He has won the award. He's a good college football player. Let's not just say he isn't. USC, though, this season is definitely not the USC of last season. They have lost a couple pieces. They definitely do not look as good. And I think by the time the end of the year comes around, I don't think he'll be in top 3 for Heisman contention, to be honest.
I don't think so
either.
That's the way
it looks right now.
Purely because of who else is up there right now. Speeding it up a little bit here. Another winner. Newcomers in the Big 12, Houston specifically, finally got their first win against their new classmates. Houston wins on a wild Hail Mary over West Virginia. Crazy. West Virginia had a big bomb of their own just before this, just for Houston to come back with a few seconds left and hit a 50-yard bomb and win this game. What a wild game. Unfortunately, I didn't even know this game was on Thursday, so I didn't catch it until the end. I was watching the Chiefs and the Broncos, sadly. But Houston finally gets it done, man. And something I want to point out about Houston, Cougs' remaining schedule, you got K-State, you got Baylor, you got Cincy, Oklahoma State, and UCF. Cougs are 3-3. Cougs haven't missed a bowl game in, I think, 4 seasons. Could we see another bowl game here for Dana Holgorsen?
I mean, if they play like they did this week, yeah, we definitely could. K-State, I think, is their toughest battle. Yeah. That's this week, and
they
we'll
also
see how
have
they
Texas,
go against them.
But I didn't throw Texas in there because...
Well, that's pretty much you might as well write that one in as a loss. Yeah. But, I mean, Baylor, Cincy, Okie State not looking good. UCF is kind of one of those toss-up teams. They can have a really hot game where they play really well, or they just struggle. I think we see Houston hitting another bowl game.
I like it.
I also wouldn't be surprised just because, you look at those, 5 and you look at it and you go, Cincy's not doing a lot this year. I watched the game with Cincy, I'm pretty sure that maybe we all watched it, but I know I watched it. Iowa State 20-point dub felt real nice this weekend. But Houston, I think Dana Holgorsen has a real good shot to get back into a bowl game this year.
I hope so.
That's good for Houston. It's good for college football. It's
good for the Big 12. These newcomers have not looked
for the Big 12.
Yeah, great. Good to see the Big 12 winning games.
We got a big loser here. That probably came out wrong. Miami went from one of the most promising ACC teams to start the season to, like I said, a potential Potato Bowl bid. Miami going into this weekend was still very much in the picture in the ACC. A win this weekend against North Carolina, no less, would have put you right back potentially in that driver's seat. I don't see Florida State as the team in the driver's seat right now in that conference, but we'll get to that as well. A win this weekend puts you right back on track. Miami was still going into this weekend, only team or second team in the country, only team in the ACC, top 10 in offense and defense. 30 plus points per game, one of 2 teams in the country doing that. And I mean, you could have gone out and put yourself right back on track. Instead, you go out and get absolutely embarrassed by, we're not talking about them right now, but a North Carolina team that looks really good. But you go out and you just get absolutely embarrassed. And that final score was not indicative of how dominant North Carolina truly was in this game. How do we feel about this one?
I mean, I like the Tar Heels. I think they're a good team, and this was kind of a, I think it was a must win for Miami, but kind of a statement game from North Carolina too. They both kind of went into this game with something, it was like a chip on their shoulder. North Carolina wanted to kind of prove themselves as a dominant team in the country, and Miami wanted to prove that they can still win the ACC. And obviously, it shows that North Carolina was clearly the better team. And I would agree, this game was not nearly as close. I mean, it was a 10-point win, but it was not that close watching it.
Yeah.
I will say this: Mario Cristobal down there in Miami, he's been down there a couple years. He's won a bunch of games, but when it has come to the biggest games in the ACC schedule that he absolutely has to win in order to actually win the ACC, he always finds a way to lose. They could have the best team, like Ethan was saying. They have top 10 on both sides of the ball. You should be realistically running over teams. Yeah. And you go in and you play this North Carolina team that has been just rolling offensively. They've been playing really well. You got to be ready for that test. If you're Mario Cristobal, you have to tell your guys, this will be one of our biggest tests of the year. We have to be completely invested. And if the way you guys are talking, I didn't get to see the game, but the way you guys are talking, you're making it seem like North Carolina kind of just ran away with this one. And it is kind of indicative of how Mario Cristobal has been coaching these big games over the years. Like he gets down and then he has to dig himself out of a trench 9 times out of 10. And he's had a real tough time doing that over the years.
That's pretty much how the game went.
Tez Walker had the first touchdown of the game for North Carolina. That man will start to come out of a shell. And North Carolina,
that was fun to see.
The North Carolina team,
let that man play.
They might be one of the most dangerous teams in the country right now. We got one more winner. Iowa, question mark. Iowa won a football game this weekend. They won that football game 15-6. They passed the ball for just 37 yards. Iowa's 6-1. That's it. That's all I got. That's all I got on this one. And my question here is, how much longer, and maybe it's a stupid question because of course they like winning, how much longer will Iowa fans be okay with dominating the worst division in the country, getting blown out in your championship game, going to a really good bowl game, and calling it a year? How much longer are they going to be okay with that? Zach, what do you got?
No longer. As an Iowa fan, I'm tired of seeing it. When are they going to realize that they have one of the most dominant defenses in the country and they should be competing with these better teams? Like, I'm going to go back 2 weeks when they just got crapped on by Penn State. Like, you cannot sit there year in and year out and have a great defense and then just continuously lose to the top teams in the country. Like, at some point, you have to realize we are better than this, and we, like, as an organization, should be better than this and need to be better than this. 37 yards in a football game passing is literally disgusting. Like, I could throw that probably in my bathtub.
Maybe.
Like, it's embarrassing. I just can't get to revamp the offense, figure something out. I mean, granted, it was fun watching them run for 200 yards, but 86 of it was on one run. They had nothing going. Wisconsin just sucks.
The only reason why Iowa has been winning ball games this year, and I agree, Zach, the defense. The defense is it. They have it figured out in Iowa City how to play defense. They've been a top 5 defense or 10 defense in the FBS the last 2 years. They've been playing their minds out. Torrey Taylor is the best punter in the entire country.
It's kind of sad when your most well-known player is your punter and your DB.
Yeah, that's it. That's all they have. That's all they need.
Just figure
it out. But obviously, they're 6-1. They play in the worst conference in college football. And I agree. They're going to go to a Big Ten title, like I said earlier, and just get ran over by either Penn State if they went out, Michigan if they went out, or Ohio State if they went out.
Yep. Same.
That's what
it's
going to be.
Disgusting. It's literally disgusting.
And the worst part is, like, you don't really get that good of a bowl because what it's going to be is Michigan and Ohio State are both going to get the playoff bid again. You know, if Ohio State beats Penn State this weekend, Michigan and Ohio State are both going to get the playoff bid again. And then Penn State's going to go to the Rose Bowl again, probably play Utah again.
Again.
Same situation in that bowl game almost every year anymore. And then Iowa's going to go to the Outback Steakhouse Bowl and beat Kentucky again, I guess.
The Cheez-It Bowl.
But either way.
This team proves that defense can't win championships.
Yeah, to a degree. It can win the Big Ten West. Let's we want to get to message board maniacs.
Cool, dude.
I can't talk Iowa any longer. Do we want to get to message board maniacs? I've only got one. I've only got one on deck this weekend.
Freaking matters.
I've got Colorado fans. I'm gonna kind of take the floor a little bit for this one. Colorado fans, obviously, yes, you blew a 29-0 lead Friday night to Stanford. That's not great. As a fan base, you're not happy with that, I guess. But the comments you're getting, some justified, but the comments calling for Deion, already giving up on Deion, already giving up on this team, they're ridiculous. You're a team who has won 2 football games in 2 or 3 seasons. You haven't been to a bowl since, a little after I was born. That's not true because Colorado was really good in the early 2000s. I know that, but you haven't done anything lately. You're 4 wins in. Are they 3 or 4? Either way, I think they're 4 wins in. Yeah, they're 4 wins in. They're projected to go to a low-tier bowl, which is not where you were projected beginning of the season. You were projected 3 wins. So the poor attitude here to me, yeah, you just blew a massive game. Cool. To me, I don't like those comments. The comments I do understand is comments about Deion not fitting the culture of Colorado, not fitting the tradition of college football. Deion, I don't like to talk trash on grown adults. I'm not Deion. I don't coach a college football team. I don't run Deion's family. I don't know Deion's personal life. But the me stuff, to me, I don't like it. There's no tradition on that team. Fans are mad at the fact they don't run out behind the Buffalo anymore. They don't sing the fight song after games. I would imagine, just like the comment on the screen says, a lot of these players probably don't even know their fight song. But take Deion and Colorado out of this equation. This is what college football is likely going to become within the next 5 to 10 years. And the beautiful thing about college football is the tradition. And that tradition, it's not going to be here much longer. And I know that sucks. But let's be honest, the bigger and bigger NIL gets, that stuff isn't going to matter. You're going to have players bouncing all around the country for extra bags and maybe a shot at a title here and there. They don't care about your traditions, and that stuff's going to go out the window, which to me as a college football fan, it's sad, but it's the reality we're getting to, and that's my 2 cents on everything in the Colorado section this weekend. 1, shut up about your wins. You got 4 of them. You're projected 6 of them now. Get over it. You're not wishing Deion's departure. You're just not, because where do you go next? You don't have a coaching upgrade in your future. And tradition going out the door sucks. But how are we feeling about Colorado blowing that lead this weekend?
Kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm a fan, I'm definitely upset because, like, we've seen what that team can do. Like, when they're at their best, we've seen what that team can do and how well that team can perform. And obviously the second half shows the exact opposite of what that team is. So, like, I understand being upset, but for calling it, I mean, simply putting it only on Coach Prime is kind of crazy because I mean, obviously he controls the team, but he can't go out there and play. Like,
Yeah.
And like, I don't put it on Coach Prime. I mean, obviously you got to put some on it, but I'm not calling for him out yet because, like you were saying, they projected literally 2 wins on the season, and they already surpassed that. The fans they saw what they could do. They saw the potential that they had when they beat TCU week 1, and it's just they're just not where they think they are. They give them a couple years, and they'll be there.
I would like to say that blowing a 29-0 lead is sad to see, especially if you're the head coach. Like, I can only imagine what is going through your brain as you see your team start to just not even play the game of football anymore. Like, after you put out the best first half, one of the best first halves that you could have possibly put out, all year, and then you lay an egg. It could have been, up to the players whether or not they were like still completely willing to keep their foot on the gas and keep putting these guys into the ground, or it could have been, on the coaching staff not telling them, hey, we can't slow down, we got to keep pushing because we don't want this team to come back on us.
Yeah.
There's 2 sides to it. There's all sides to look at. I have nothing but love and respect for Dion. I hope he continues to keep getting wins. I hope Colorado doesn't run him out of town because of the way he does what he does. I know it's not traditional and it's flashy and it's all money and blah blah blah, but I mean it's a good program and they have a good culture with Dion there.
Just win football games and nothing else matters. I got a little fun with numbers before we move on to our middle segment here. Sorry if I mispronounced this. Stanford wide receiver Alec Ayomanor had more receiving yards in the second half of this game against Colorado than all of Iowa's wide receivers have combined through 7 football games. Anyway.
Yeah, they suck. Move on.
Anyway, let's get through our spotlight features pretty quick here. Number 1, we've got number 11 Alabama staying home to take on Tennessee. Last chance for both of these teams, to put it simply. Alabama wins this one. It's their hardest test remaining for sure. Then you're probably right in that SEC championship game. You likely win the West. Tennessee, it could be your hardest matchup. You still got Georgia. Brock Bowers has undergone a surgery today. He is likely out until the playoffs.
No.
So Tennessee, this is probably your biggest remaining test as well. Last chance for both of these teams. To me, Alabama is the more complete team here. Tennessee doesn't win on the road well. Tennessee doesn't win when they get down. You get down fast in this one, Alabama takes it. I'm taking Alabama here.
Yeah, I'm going to side with you on that one. I think Alabama's offense is really good recently. Their defense is starting to pick it up. I'm taking Alabama at home.
I disagree with Alabama's offense is looking good recently. I think they still are kind of shaky. They still have some things that they need to figure out. I think Nick Saban is finally starting to turn a page, maybe trying to get these guys into midseason form the way they should be right now. That being said, I still think Alabama wins. I don't think Tennessee is destined for anything special this year. They have had a lot of good wins.
Yeah.
That being said,
Tennessee took this one last year.
I think Alabama's still Alabama.
Alabama's got this one circled. We got number 4, Florida State at 6-0, staying home to take on number 16 Duke. I said it before. I don't think Florida State is in the driver's seat of this conference right now, regardless of their rating. I do think they have a very good shot in this game. But my point with this game and with every Florida State game going forward is it's Florida State's last shot every week from here on out. It is absolutely must win, because if Florida State drops any of their remaining games, they do not play North Carolina. But if they drop any of their remaining games, we're going to get a basketball ACC championship between likely Duke, if Duke wins this one, and North Carolina. So Florida State absolutely cannot lose. They have to go undefeated, because I think North Carolina is going to go undefeated. So Florida State has to win out. With that said, I think they beat this Duke team. You're at home. You're the more complete team. Give me the Seminoles in this one.
Yep. Again, I'm going to side with you again. Florida State looks really good. Like you're saying, they're a complete team. Their quarterback. The only person that's coming to mind is JT Daniels, and I know that's not it.
Florida State. Lord Almighty, forgetting it.
Whatever his name is, he is very good, and I mean he's could be in Heisman talks. Probably not up that high, but I mean he's definitely got a chance. Their defense is clicking. Yeah, give me Florida State. I like Duke though.
They're comparing the quarterback
Jordan
for Florida
Travis.
State right now. Jordan Travis.
Jordan Travis.
They're comparing him a lot to Jameis in his defeated season or his undefeated season with Florida State, which is a good comparison because I believe that these two dudes are
very similar in play style,
leading their teams and making sure that this Florida State offense runs the way it should. That being said, I have to agree with you both. I think Florida State is the more complete team, both sides of the ball. Duke has had obviously their misstep already this year. Don't be surprised if you see another one in this one because I just think this Florida State team has a chance to, I think, really do make it to that ACC title game this year and actually play against the North Carolina Tar Heels and have a good chance.
We've got our upset alert. We didn't do one of these last week. We're going under the headlights this week. We got our upset alert. Number 18 USC. I'm kind of surprised they're still favored. Taking on number 14 Utah. USC is a 4.5 point favorite, regardless of Utah taking that ranking boost over the Trojans there. USC's must win. USC's must win the rest of the way out. Thing for me is Utah has absolutely had USC's number their last few matchups, and especially under Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley. Their last two matchups last year, the Utes went off for 725 passing yards, five passing touchdowns. For the record, Utah's not a passing team. Look at their stats against any other team. They're not a passing team. They know how to exploit a Lincoln Riley and Alex Grinch defense, and they do it to perfection. Cam Rising is going to go off in this one, just like he has. In my opinion, I think Utah takes the upset.
Again, I'm agreeing with you. I like Utah. I think USC's defense is very, very, very shaky. And yeah, I mean, Utah's got an offense that is clicking. Cam Rising looks really good. Coming back in, week 5, I think he came back. Or 4.
So.
I think he came back and he's
5.
He's looked very good, just plugging right back into that offense. Utah's defense is no joke either. So, or defense, if I said offense. I like Utah to win this one.
Give me USC in this one, and I think it's going to be a shootout. I think both these teams. I think Caleb Williams takes this last loss personally against Notre Dame and says, if I'm going to do anything this year, I have to be the guy like I was last year. And I think he puts it all on himself. I think he puts the team on his back. I think they squeak it out in a close one. Don't be surprised if it's another double overtime game because they like to play those. But yeah, give me USC. I like Caleb Williams, even though he's looking a little shaky right now. I give it to me.
I like it, boys. That's gonna do it for college football. And normally after the top half of the hour, we get straight into NFL, but that's not the case this week. We've got a new segment to introduce to you guys at the halfway point here, conveniently named Halfway Heaters. Halfway Heaters is where we are taking you guys' hot takes, your favorite hot takes between college football and NFL. They can be broad hot takes, or they can be about this weekend, or they can be about this weekend specifically. We got 3 really good ones for the first one here. If you guys want to be in this segment going forward, it will be every Tuesday from here on out. If you want to be in this segment going forward, leave your favorite hot takes down below, and we might get to them. You have until next Sunday to leave hot takes, so take your time, obviously. But let's get to halfway heaters here. First take we got: Michael Penix Jr. is the best lefty quarterback in college football history. To me, this one is scorching hot. When you look at a few other guys that he's going up against, you've got Tim Tebow, arguably one of the greatest college football players of all time. Zach, earlier you mentioned Steve Young. You've got Michael Vick.
Brigham Young.
You've got Michael Vick. You've got Matt
Mike
Leinart
Vick.
out of USC. You got some.
Tua Tagovailoa.
You got some.
That's what they didn't even mention before.
You got some iconic college football players there, most of which having won national championships, all of which having won Heismans. So for this one to be true, realistically, we need both of those out of Michael Penix Jr. this season. Because numbers-wise, I mean, he's there. He's absolutely lighting it up in passing yards and touchdowns.
He's definitely on pace to be
He doesn't really have interceptions. The dude is on pace to set a college football record for air yards per attempt. His air yards per attempt after that Oregon game, I believe, is hovering right around 23 air yards per attempt, which means he is attempting dang near 25-yard passes every single time he launches the ball. And clearly it's working. So there's a number there, but you need those accolades. If you want to be considered the greatest lefty in college football history, you need those accolades. You need that Heisman. You need that national championship. So this is a very hot one because I don't know if he gets those.
Yeah.
Heisman's
definitely
obtainable.
a hot one to start it. Heisman's definitely attainable, and I wouldn't write him off yet. Obviously, I mean, you're not writing him off at all for the national championship.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've got a tough schedule to get to the final championship. But I mean, Tua was one I didn't even think about. Shout out to Joe. That Tua was good.
We love that.
He
Joe.
good in the second half in his first ever playing time in Alabama.
And
The
just
second
won.
half of a national championship game and won.
That's dog.
We're not going to talk about Tua Tagovailoa like that. Are you
That's dog.
serious?
Yeah,
Come on,
then,
man. Come on.
And then I'll give a shout out to Nebraska fans. Dave Hum. No one's probably heard of this guy except for your Nebraska fans.
Zach did his research.
In 1974. He had 54 total touchdowns, 5,236 passing yards, and finished his career with over 5,000 rushing yards, adding another 18 rushing touchdowns.
I would say this one is scorching hot, but give me that Heisman.
Yeah.
Give me that Natty. We might revisit it. Number two here.
Big accolades, sure.
Second hot take. The NFC is currently better than the AFC. I'm going to give this one a little over lukewarm, simply because of how teams currently are. But it's a hard one to argue when you look at the fact that the AFC has dominated Super Bowls as of late. And as of a couple, decades now? I mean, you had the Patriots killing it. You had
because and then you had Mahomes come in and
you had Mahomes come in. So this is a really, really tough one. But you look at current, you've got the Eagles, you've got the Niners, you've got Detroit. I was getting there.
There it is.
You've got Detroit. I mean, you've got three of the league's top teams right now sitting right there in the NFC. Three of your top four Super Bowl odds are also sitting there right in the NFC.
Yeah, and one of the other big things is going into this year, everyone's like, oh, all the top quarterbacks are in the AFC. And then you got guys like Jalen Hurts who are performing at MVP level. You got Brock Purdy performing at an MVP level. You got Jared Goff performing at what could be an MVP level.
Easily.
And you got Matt Stafford who's shaky, but he's been good. And then to flip it to the AFC, you got Patrick Mahomes who's having a down year because, I mean, the offense just hasn't been as explosive. Justin Herbert really hasn't done much. Trevor Lawrence has looked shaky at times. I think there's a serious argument that NFC is currently better than the AFC, and I think they will be at the end of the season too.
I agree, but I also disagree. I will say this. I think AFC defenses have kind of emerged more than the NFC defenses, especially this year. Just off the top of my head, the Browns just beat the Niners. That's AFC North. The Ravens AFC North team, they just beat the Titans.
Steelers.
Big L. Steelers didn't play this week. We don't care about the Steelers.
Either way, the whole AFC North.
The Bengals they're finally starting to figure it out. Their defense is playing good.
Their defense is really good.
Their offense is playing well. They're playing good. The Jets are another team that have just an outstanding, ridiculously good defense. I give it to the NFC because they have the top, like more top teams, more of the, we've won more than 3 games this year. But
so maybe it's a little hotter than lukewarm. Maybe it's a little hotter than lukewarm. We'll see at that Super Bowl. We'll see at that Super Bowl. We'll see how records continue to unfold. We got number 3 here. This is a very, very interesting one to me, and it's really, really tough to determine now, especially with what happened this weekend. Anthony Richardson will end up becoming the best quarterback out of this draft. This is a very tough one to look at right now because of Anthony Richardson's injuries. But when you take out their averages, put it over a 17-game season, him and CJ Stroud is obviously who I'm referring to here. Take out their averages, put it into a 17-game season, they're right on par. Anthony Richardson clearly outputs wins just as much as CJ Stroud does. He impacts his offense just as much as CJ Stroud does. I'm sorry, longevity is a big piece to a quarterback. If you can't stay healthy, you're not your team's quarterback anyway. So Anthony Richardson's going to have to adjust his play style a little bit. He's out 4 to 6 weeks right now, I believe, with a concussion on top of a shoulder injury, which is just has something else.
Poor guy's had it rough at the beginning of his career.
But it's just a tough one. Statistically, yeah, it's maybe there. It's maybe there when you take the numbers out to a full season. But he's not going to get to play a full season because of his play style. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's not a now decision anyway. There's seasons and seasons to play.
I've heard rumblings that they're thinking about, or he's thinking about shutting himself down for the whole year to get reconstructive surgery on his shoulder. On some ligament or something. They initially said it was a grade 3 sprain in his shoulder that was going to be causing him to be out for a little while. And they said that there was probably no way that there was probably going to be surgery. But this last, a day ago, 2 days ago, somebody came out and said that he was probably going to have surgery and it might be season ending surgery. That being said, CJ Stroud is on the field. Yep. CJ Stroud is playing. CJ Stroud is winning ball games with the Houston Texans.
Mm-hmm. They look
It's too early to tell, obviously, too early to tell. But I agree with Ethan on the longevity and the consistency. You have to be able to play a whole game. He has yet to finish a game in the NFL.
This one to me is scorching hot.
Yeah. And honestly, I think, one that we're not really talking about because, it hasn't looked super great. But, Bryce Young, he's shown flashes of being a very good quarterback. I think he's in a very terrible organization, so it's very hard to look good. And he has shown flashes. I say that after he just got pummeled by the Lions. But, he's shown flashes where he can be a very good quarterback. And, he's got the mobility and everything like that. But... I think it'll definitely be between Richardson and Stroud.
Bryce Young is literally playing on the Vikings without Justin Jefferson is literally his team situation. Unbeaten no more, boys. There are no more unbeaten teams in the NFL. Eagles and Niners both lose this weekend. The Browns made the Niners look absolutely silly in the rain. Brock Purdy without Christian McCaffrey and Debo goes 12 for 27, 125 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He did lead what should have been a game-tying or game-leading drive. Game-leading. Should have been a game-winning drive.
Could have been game-winning.
But kicker couldn't get it done. Jake Moody's whole family came to see him for the first time in the NFL, and he missed 2 of them.
Went 0-3.
Missed
and
3 of them.
Ruined my fantasy.
Dude.
Missed 3 of them.
Poor guy, man. That sucks.
Yeah.
You hate to see that. But Niners, they look silly.
It's hard to put that on. Yeah, he missed 3 field goals, and obviously 1 field goal puts him up, and those 3 field goals puts him up double digits. Or no, it doesn't. But a touchdown, and it's hard to put it all on him. But we've talked so much about how good Brock. Yeah, we've talked about how good Brock Purdy has been, and he looked uncomfortable all game long. Credit to the Browns defense. They made him look like he really didn't know how to play football. He was overthrowing balls. He was underthrowing. He was throwing behind.
Freaking tiny hands, dude. He couldn't even hold on to the football.
Yeah, his little pee-wee hands can't keep the ball. Oh man, and obviously it's hard without Debo.
Yeah.
Because he went out, I think he played 9 snaps or something like that, and I can't remember if Travis Kelce, if Christian McCaffrey made it to the second half or if he got hurt like midway through the second. But
I don't think he made it to halftime.
Obviously it's hard to win games when your 2 top receivers are out or your 2 top options are out, but he didn't utilize Kittle at all. I think Kittle had 1 catch for a yard or something like that.
23 routes ran, 1 catch, 1 yard.
Yep. And Brandon Ayuk, obviously, at that last drive, he showed what that team could be when he caught the ball and did his little fast, speedy thing, Tyreek Hill mode. I don't know.
To those of you out there, obviously the Brock Purdy haters are going to come out the woodworks on this one. To those of you out there who want to say
leave him alone.
Brock Purdy without his weapons looks like I hate saying this word, trash.
He looks like a human being. Okay, he looks like a fuck.
Take Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, and Isaiah Pacheco away from Patrick Mahomes. See how he looks. No, duh. Like, come on. You just took his best weapons. You took his left tackle away from him. Like,
left tackle, no more.
Come on.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is Jared Goff was out last week without Jahmyr Gibbs,
and
Amon-Ra St. Brown, and let's just call a spade a spade. They put up 42.
That's Detroit tough, baby. Jets defense makes Jalen Hurts look silly as well. Lane Johnson,
with his top options.
Lane Johnson injury doesn't help. Jets had 2 sacks, 8 quarterback pressures, several interceptions, 2 interceptions directly off pressures because 2 of their interceptions were on tipped passes. One of them by defensive tackle, Quinnen Williams. We love that. We love the big man getting the picks. Hurts threw 280 yards,
dominant.
a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Obviously a good game. He just couldn't deliver the ball where it needed to be. In moments, he needed to deliver the ball where it needed to be. So, if the Eagles, the loss aside, if the Eagles can't figure out their offensive struggles with an upcoming schedule of the Dolphins, Commanders, Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, 49ers, and Cowboys again, where's the panic meter in Philadelphia right now?
This is not meant to be a knock on this team, and you're going to understand what I'm saying. It's kind of crazy when the easiest game of their schedule of these remaining games is the Chiefs. And hear me out. Here's why I'm saying this. Commanders always play the Eagles super tough. They are always one of the hardest teams the Eagles play every single year. The Cowboys also always play them very tough. The Bills are the Bills. The 49ers are the 49ers.
You have no faith in Patrick Mahomes.
Stop it. The way the Chiefs offense
has faith,
Joe.
He's Patrick Mahomes, Zachary,
and he has looked like not Patrick Mahomes the whole start of the season. I'm not saying the Chiefs are bad, but if you look at how the Commanders already played the Eagles, almost beating them, you look how the Cowboys can play against the Eagles, and you look at how the Bills have been playing, taking out the Giants game. The Chiefs game is realistically, like you're looking at it, should be their easiest game.
Which is
the
Bills
should have lost to the Giants last night. The Bills should have lost to the worst team in football.
The Chiefs also should have lost to the Jets, and the Chiefs also could have lost this week to the Broncos.
I agree. The Chiefs should have lost to the Jets. It was 19-8 this week, Zach. 19-8
because of a fumble and a bad interception by Russell Wilson.
19-8.
It's just like the good old days, boys.
Listen. I want you to listen to me very, very closely. I am not saying the Chiefs are bad.
I was gonna say I don't think he's trying to disrespect the Chiefs.
I'm saying I'm not. The Chiefs' offense has not looked like the Chiefs' offense. That's the other thing. They put up 19 points against statistically the worst defense in the NFL. That's terrible. With Patrick Mahomes, with Travis Kelce, with Isaiah Pacheco.
I'm going to choose to take from what Zach is saying is that the fact that the Chiefs could be the easiest game remaining on the Eagles' schedule is crazy because they're one of the top teams in the league, and that's what might be the easiest game you have left. I think it's the Commanders. I think it's the Cowboys. I think it's the Bills. But either way, it doesn't matter. To me, the question was about panic meter. I think the panic meter is through the beaker right now.
It's high.
Can I just say, I think the Eagles will be okay.
Oh,
the
yeah.
secondary is a little suspect. Linebackers, they had to completely replace their entire linebacking core in the offseason. They got
And
Kobe
defensive
Dean,
coordinator.
who looks way good. They had to replace both coordinators.
Yeah.
I say don't press the panic button yet. I think their front four can still get at any quarterback at any given time on any snap. They are still going to pressure you. They're still going to play real good defense. Jalen Hurts is still going to continue to play really good football. Take this game as an outlier.
Yeah.
Because this Jets defense has been doing this. This Jets defense has been doing this to every good quarterback they've played against this year. If you listen to what Robert Saleh said at the end of the game about his defense, he said, we've played some of the best in the entire league this year.
We've made them all look silly.
Them look silly.
Yep.
They all look silly. So don't put too much stock in this loss for the Eagles because they played a Jets team who I think is figuring it out. Zach Wilson actually looks decent enough to win ball games and not lose them.
Yeah.
Their defense will carry them. Their defense will carry them.
I'm not sure if we lost Zach or not, but we'll no, he's here. He's here. Yeah, I think the Eagles will be fine. You're going to drop some of these games because that's a tough slate. I mean, the Eagles just got a terrible slate there. We're going to go a little quicker through this next part because it's sad. It's sad. What was otherwise an incredible weekend of football all around, not even just NFL, college, shadowed by a lot of injuries. I got a list here of significant injuries this weekend, and no injury is insignificant, but you know what I mean. Star players going out this weekend. Christian McCaffrey, oblique injury. He will be getting an MRI later tonight, I believe. Debo, shoulder injury. He's week to week. Trent Williams, ankle, week to week. Ryan Tannehill, ankle, week to week. Justin Fields, hand will likely play, but he's going to be nursing it. It is on his throwing hand. David Montgomery, ribs. Zach, not sure the status on that one.
He's, I believe right now he's day to day.
Okay.
They want him to come back and play next week, but they might hold off if Demir gives us back.
Got you. Trevor Lawrence, knee. He says he feels okay on that. He should be able to play. Jimmy G, hospitalized with a back injury. It was reported this morning he avoided major injury, which is nice. I don't see him playing anytime soon, but that sucks.
What are you going to say about Jimmy G?
According to Adam Schefter today, he was taken to the hospital for his back, but it was only as a precautionary measure.
Okay. So he's okay.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something crazy about Jimmy.
He got hauled out in an ambulance because it was a precautionary measure. They didn't want anything bad happening to him. But it was kind of overkill, if you ask somebody in the organization, probably.
Xavier Howard, groin injury. With groin injuries, normally you're going to be day to day there. Montez Sweat, thumb, also day to day. And didn't have it on here. Bills running back last night.
The Bills won. Yeah.
I believe the update with him was he was moderately okay as well, which is good to hear.
Yeah. That was scary. seeing the ambulance come out again for the Bills.
Yeah.
That was scary.
When it comes to injuries, it's always next man up. Because it's football. I mean, you know what you sign up for. But it sucks. It's not fun to see. There were a lot of them this weekend, and
I've also heard through the rumblings that Debo will be okay. I don't think he's going to miss time. Trent Williams is okay too. I know someone else is missing from here, Lane Johnson.
Yep.
Lane Johnson went out during the game.
We just talked about
yesterday. And he said he's fine.
He should be.
It might be a high ankle sprain. Might be maybe a week. But outside of that, yeah, injuries suck, man.
Injuries suck.
I mean, another one that's not on there is, Jay Jettas, obviously, he was out this week, and he's on IR with that knee injury.
Yeah, I only went injuries that happened this weekend.
That happened this week,
list, unfortunately, this list would have been a lot longer if I did the whole season.
If you would have included all.
Injuries are just nuts this season.
The one positive about the injuries is none of them are super serious injuries. Obviously, you have some of the outliers with, like, the hospitalization of Jimmy G, could have been serious, and then you have the Aaron Rodgers. He's
positive. Yeah, positive note on injuries. That dude's throwing.
Freaking 8. Yeah,
It's only been a month.
That dude's throwing
Bro,
a
he's
football.
Month and a half.
That dude is rotating
He
his
is doing
hips.
something.
Looks comfortable.
That's crazy.
Looks comfy.
Weird.
Zach, we're gonna move on from injuries. We're gonna put a smile on your face. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions a little bit. Technically,
Best team in the NFL.
Detroit Lions now have the best record in the NFL. Technically, we are technically talking about the Lions here. Where do the Lions rank in the 5-way tie atop the NFL, which is the Lions, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Eagles, and the Niners? I'm gonna read some numbers before we let Zach go on his whole spiel.
Lions country, let's ride.
Lions rank first in strength of schedule. These rankings I'm about to read, they are from this list of 5. They're not the league overall. They're from this list of 5. They rank first in strength of schedule. They rank second. I don't know how they rank first strength of schedule with the Eagles schedule, but we're not going to talk about it. They do. Second behind the 49ers in points allowed per game. Second behind the Eagles in pressure rate and defensive line ranking. Second in strength of wins behind the 49ers. Third in offensive efficiency, and first in the turnover margin out of these 5 after this weekend.
Yeah.
Zach.
Yeah. What do you
Go ahead, Zach.
Zach, do your
What do you
thing.
got to say, Joe?
I don't have anything to say. The Lions look great.
What do you got to
The
say?
Lions. Why? I've never said anything bad about the Lions on podcasts.
Zach,
Never.
Zach,
Never.
go on your spiel. Go
I
on your
have
spiel.
not once
Not a single
said a
time.
bad thing about the Lions. I have been on the Lions side since day
I
one.
keep breaking my chair.
Zach just went right
I'm
for
on
Joe's
MCDC's
chin there.
I'm on MCDC's side because that guy knows how to coach the damn game of football.
Zach,
Dang right he does.
Zach,
Best coach in football.
give
Let's
your
talk
spiel.
about it. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. What do you say? Let's strap in, huh?
Zach, I'm giving you
let's
2
get into
minutes
it.
here for time
One.
constraints.
One, they've done it without a fully healthy team. David Montgomery's been hurt. Amon-Ra St. Brown obviously out against the Panthers. Brian Branch has been out. CJ Gardner-Johnson's been out. Their big signings in free agency with CJ Gardner-Johnson, David Montgomery, as mentioned, those two mentioned, Emmanuel Mosley, and Cam Sutton missed significant time. 3 of them being defensive backs, and they're still they're putting on the shows. Their offensive line hasn't been healthy at all yet this season, 100% healthy.
Yeah.
Man, oh my gosh, Jared Goff.
The fact that this
What
team's
would we do
winning,
without him?
the fact that this team's winning the games it's
Oh,
winning in
man.
the way it's winning their games, with the injuries they have, with the schedule they've
Beating the
faced,
Chiefs week 1.
it's
Oh my
impressive.
gosh.
It's impressive.
In Arrowhead.
Who would we argue, Zach? I'll mute you here if we have to. Who would we argue could be ahead of the Lions here? Because it's not like
Not a team.
it's not like you're going up against cupcakes on this list of 5 here.
Obviously, the Niners.
Yep.
They have the most explosive offense. They have one of the best defenses. If they have Dre Greenlaw, which he was out the whole game, I'm pretty sure, huge piece in the middle of that defense, has been playing out of his mind right next to a guy by the name of Fred Warner, who's the best linebacker in football.
Yeah.
That the Niners have still in my opinion, the best team in football. CMC hurt. We really don't like to see it. We really want him in, but the Niners.
With injuries that happened this weekend, if you were to power rate these teams right now based solely on performances you saw this weekend and injuries, if you were to power rate these teams right now, would you still put the Niners over the Lions?
Yes.
Okay. I don't disagree with that, Zach. Obviously, you're going to get a little homerish over this one. I don't necessarily disagree with that either, but I'm going to be honest. On this list of 5, the Niners are the only team I'm putting over the Lions right now, and I think the light poll is going to agree with this as well.
How could you put the 49ers over them this week after this? If we're just basing on this week after that piss poor offensive performance and defensive performance, if you want to be completely honest.
You face the number 1 defense in the league in pouring rain.
6 games.
Guess who's number 2 defense right now in the league? Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Guess what the Lions did? Beat them 20-6.
Yeah, in Florida.
On the road too. San Francisco, the 49ers lost at home. And
Baker Mayfield.
Against Baker Mayfield, who is they had one of the best passing offenses in the league.
I don't know.
We talked about it in week 3 of the podcast.
There's a
Dude,
lot
I
of things
keep
to take into
breaking my
account here.
chair.
I'm not necessarily
Stressing me
disagreeing
out.
with you, Zach.
And they beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead.
I think the Lions are definitely up there. It is exciting to see the Lions up there. I don't want this segment to get out of hand here. So, Zach,
Lions by 40.
we'll let you put them in first.
Every single day of the
I'm
week.
tossing Niners, Lions in that first and second. Joe, are you at least putting the Lions in that conversation for under?
I would put
the
Lions
Chiefs
at 2. I would put Lions at 2, Eagles at 3,
Please.
Dolphins at 4, Chiefs at
Oh,
5.
dude, put the Chiefs
Chiefs
above
are
the
the
Dolphins.
last. No, the Dolphins have looked shaky in spots. The Dolphins have looked shaky in spots, but they have a better offense than the Chiefs do. It's 10 out of times better.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 times better.
The Chiefs have also looked very shaky.
They look way better than the Chiefs. I'm sorry. We were on the Dolphins bandwagon 2 weeks ago when we were saying they were going to win it all.
We all got the Lions top 2. Zach, that's got to be very exciting for you as a Lions fan. We're back on the same team now.
Wait till they're fully healthy.
We're back on the same team
now.
Wait
till they're fully healthy and then they blow out everybody.
There you go. Let's get to Parlay Party.
No Brian Branch.
Let me talk about bets for a second. Have you guys caught the Thursday episodes? Have you guys caught the Thursday episodes? Because if you want to come win some money with us, catch the Thursday episodes. You can see our record right there. Unfortunately, forget the Bills. I'm not going to say the word I want to say about the Bills that I was saying in our group chat all last night. The Bills blew our first hit on the parlay. You guys want to know what's funny? Our 2 parlays that were the closest in Parlay Party, that the teams that blew them, Dolphins and Bills. Who have I talked the most trash about on this podcast? Dolphins and Bills. Anyway, our record sits 16-9. You can see it. Our records in our spread to spread picks, which is a segment on Thursdays. Don't miss it. Our records in spread to spread picks were that guy right there is just over 70%. I'm shooting, I think, 65. Joe is shooting, I believe, 61%. So, as a group, we are absolutely murdering picks right now.
We know ball.
I mean, you want to... There's no guarantees here legally, but you want to come have some fun with us, first of all, win some money with us, second of all. Come have fun with us on the Thursday episodes. You don't want to miss them. I promise. They're action-packed. These are a little more laid-back. Thursdays are action-packed. Just don't miss Thursdays. With that said, let's get to Parlay Party because we're hitting our first one this week, boys. Bills and Dolphins are not allowed on Parlay Party anymore.
No, I'm not picking that.
What are we?
Well, I'd pick the Bills against the Patriots.
For those of you, for those of you who are new, Parlay Party is where we sit down every week and we build you the ultimate NFL weekly winners parlay. We give you 5 games for absolute locks for winners. One of them must be a slightly riskier pick to boost the odds. All of these parlays so far have been plus 1,000 or better. This weekend, if the Bills would have won by 14, $10 would have won you $436. So that's where we're kind of sitting with these. That's how Parlay Party works. We'll give you a garbage shoot pick at the end, which is a game you do not want to touch. Boys, what's standing out? I know you guys both just said the Bills Patriots. I fully agree. The Bills, that spread has moved to 8.5. The paper says 9. That spread has moved to 8.5. I looked at all these before the game.
Especially then taking the Bills.
The light poll. Again, if you catch Thursday episodes, the light poll is our model for power rating NFL teams and delivering us spreads to help us pick games. It's been on fire. The light poll has the Bills as an 18.5 point favorite on the road.
Yeah.
On the road.
Yeah. Give it to me. Yeah. Yep.
Give me Buffalo. Our paper says -9. We're taking -8.5 because I know that's the line right now. So
I'll take 8.5 easy.
Give me Buffalo -8.5 because at that point, win by 3 field goals. That's our first pick.
Give me Buffalo by 25.
That's our first pick. Who else is standing out here?
Rams over the Steelers. I like that. Rams Steelers. The -3. I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be a touchdown game. Steelers defense is good, but I don't think the Steelers offense has anything to do against this Rams team.
Rams are at home.
Yeah, that Rams defense looks just as good.
Rams have been heating up. That Rams defense looked great this weekend. Yeah, I like that one. Do we like Rams -3 or just go safe on money line?
I like the -3.
I like Rams -3. Yeah.
I mean, that's just a field goal, so yeah. Starting with 2 spreads.
I like the cover.
Parlay is going to be juicy this week. Starting with 2 spreads. I actually really like that one as well. The light pool has the Rams as a 1.5 point favorite, but it's a field goal. How many football games are you winning by a 1.5? None. Yeah, I like that. Rams -3. What do we got? I know my garbage shoot.
This is risky pick. I know it's not risky to us because we all think this.
Lions -2.5, plus 2.5.
The Lions over the Ravens. Lions over the Ravens.
I
had another risky pick too, but Joe probably doesn't want me to say it.
Chiefs Chargers is my garbage shoot. Chiefs Chargers or Eagles Dolphins is my garbage shoot this week.
My garbage shoot was the Eagles Dolphins.
I can't even find it. Oh, Lions Ravens.
I wouldn't pick the Chargers or the Chiefs.
Light pool has Detroit to cover, but it has Baltimore -1.5. I don't know. I like the Lions money line. I like the Lions money line. You're going on the road.
Yeah.
Baltimore just won one in London. You got to come back. You're only going to have 2 days to prep.
Rolling Lions.
Yeah, that's a risky pick. We don't seem as confident this week. Sorry, audience. We don't seem as confident this week, but
I don't want your petty faith
all
in the Lions.
right, so far we got
petty faith. Shut up.
I don't want it.
So far we got Bills -8.5. We have Rams -3, and we've got Lions money line. That is our risky pick. Is the Lions to upset the Ravens on the road?
I mean, the other one, Commanders. I think they cover 1.5.
I really like Commanders -1.5.
I really like
the Giants are not good.
Giants.
The light pool has Washington -7 on the road. 1.5 is a cakewalk.
Yep.
Give me Commanders -1.5. That's 4 out of 5. Our risky pick is out of the way, so really the field is open to us right now.
The other one I'm saying is Browns -2.5. I think that Colts team looks very bad. The Browns defense looks very good.
That's just a field goal. I like that. Should we play one of these safe on a money line?
We could do that one on the money line. I'm cool.
Browns money line.
Browns just to win outright money line. I just don't like that 2.5 on the Browns. Yeah, Browns go on the road. Indianapolis. Gardner Minshew starting.
I think
Minshew looked kind of shaky this last week.
He did.
So if there's a team that can really get
the
after,
Jags slaughtered him.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. If there's a team that can really get after Gardner Minshew in this offense, the Browns just did it against the Niners.
Guys, you know what? The Browns are on a heater right now. Just give me Browns -2.5.
Yeah, and the other one I didn't even see. Packers -1.5 against the Broncos. Dude, the Broncos suck.
Yeah, but the Packers aren't great either. Look at Jordan. Look at Jordan Love in clutch. Jordan Love in the clutch has worse stats than Justin Fields.
I don't think it'll have to come to the clutch. So I think the Broncos just suck.
Maybe. And
they almost beat the Chiefs last week.
We already have our 5. I was gonna mention Bears Raiders just because Mike McDaniels is a horrible coach, and I think the Bears can take that one at home. But we don't even need to because we already have our 5. So what is our 5 then? Our 5, we've got
Rams over the Steelers, Lions over the Ravens, Commanders over the Giants, Browns over the Colts.
These were all spreads, right? So we had Rams -3, we had Bills -8.5, we had Browns -2.5, Lions to win outright.
Yep.
And then which one did I miss?
Rams Steelers. Rams
-3.
Yep.
Okay.
And you heard me say it, Chargers +6.
That can be one of your picks later in the week. Garbage shoot. I feel like it's Dolphins Eagles. Eagles have a 2.5 point spread at home. I don't know what to think of either of those teams right now. Dolphins got out to a slow start against Carolina. Finished hot, but it's Carolina. Eagles obviously got out to a slow start against the Jets. Didn't finish with a win. 3 interceptions there. Dolphins can force some interceptions here. I don't know. This game to me could go both ways. I don't want to put a spread on that one. That's a game that I would probably not put any money on ever. And that That is
not touching that game.
That is parlay party right there. I feel like the vibes I'm getting, that is our least confident parlay party we've probably put out to date.
I'm fully confident in that.
Okay. I like it.
Can we give Joe a minute to talk about how bad the Chiefs are?
No, we're not gonna give Joe that minute. That's gonna do it for episode 6. We hope you guys enjoyed that one. I think we're gonna see you guys live on Thursday, correct, crew?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are gonna see you guys live Thursday night. Who do we got? Who do we got Thursday night? The game.
Couldn't tell you. I think it's a game that isn't really super entertaining, kind of like last week.
We're gonna find out just a second.
Bear with us.
Bear with us because I want to know. I want to tell you guys which game we're covering this weekend.
Joe, let's talk about the Chiefs while we're here.
I'm not talking. I'm done talking to you about anything.
Zach, what is your? It is Jags Saints.
Oh yeah. Who
Zach,
cares?
what is your fascination with pestering Joe about the Chiefs? Anyway, that's episode 6.
Like the Chiefs have the best offense in the country.
We love you guys. We will see you on Thursday. Seriously, join us for the Thursdays. Action-packed episodes. You don't want to miss us. Tail our picks if you want to, but we'll talk about them more on Thursday. We love you guys. We'll see you guys again in this format next Tuesday. Peace.
We'll see.